Hey, I'm Josh, the Green New World guy. In this video, we're going to talk about game setup. This video is intended for teachers who are planning to use the Green New World climate change simulation in their classrooms. Let's get started. So I recommend having the room and the board set up before students enter. And then when they enter, taking some time to gather around the board, ask them what they notice and observe, discuss kind of the parallels between the board and the real world. And only once that's done, having them sit in their 7 teams and distributing the cards and the dice. So let's start with the room. Ideally, we're going to have 9 desks. Now, we're teachers, of course, we know how to make do with what we have, but 9 is going to work best. We're going to have a central table with the board on it, lots of room around this central table for students to gather around and make their observations. Then we're going to have 7 desks with chairs around, ideally kind of with equal access to the board. That's where our teams are going to sit, 3 or 4 students per team. And then finally, we're going to have the teacher's desk, probably, with a document camera on it. Ideally, document camera is not totally necessary, but it does give students something to look at rather than just listening to the teacher, which we know is always good. So the teacher's desk looks something like this. It's got the document camera there. It's got the action mat set up on it. And let's talk about the action mat in a minute. Okay, that's the room. Now let's look at the board. So the first thing to notice when you're setting up the board is these little white numbers and symbols that are in each region. That's going to tell you how many of each emissions token refers to all of these little colored tokens, to put on each region. So if we look closely, Asia here has 6 lightning bolts that represent 6 gigatons of greenhouse gas emissions that are put towards generating electricity. Your coal power plants, your natural gas plants, stuff like that. And so 6, we put 6 of them right here. We do the same for the cars, the transportation tokens, the concrete tokens, and the agriculture tokens. And we do that for all 7 regions. Next, we are going to put on the refugee tokens. The refugee tokens are these circular tokens. They're in stacks of 6 tokens each on each of the 7 cities. So that adds up to 42 refugee tokens. The last thing you need to think about setting up the board are these tiny little guys. This here is the temperature counter and the emissions counter. They're really small. If you lose them, you can use anything that's kind of pointy, like a paper clip or a Barbie shoe or whatever. The temperature counter is going to start at 0 degrees. Right over there. And the emissions counter is going to start at 53 gigatons. And the reason for that, right there, the reason for that is because there are currently 53 emissions tokens on the board. That is that for the board. Now let's look at the action mat. This is placed on the teacher's desk under the document camera. If you don't have a document camera, just put it somewhere where it can be easily accessed and viewed by students. For now, we're going to take each region's dice and place it on the designated spot. It actually has a small number there that tells you which dice to use, so you don't have to look in the instruction book. North America gets an 18-sided dice, Europe a 12-sided dice, etc., etc. Then you can also take each team's action cards. Remember, everyone's got the same 4 action cards. And just place them face down on their spot there. That just kind of keeps them out of the way while you're making those observations with the students about the board. And then once you're done that conversation, then you can start handing out dice and cards. So once you've had this conversation with students about the board and what they notice and what it represents in the real world, I'm actually going to make another video called What Do You Notice? That can help with that conversation. Then it's time to assign their groups, their teams. So to make this easier on you as the teacher, you might want to look at the tables and just kind of treat it like a world map from your point of view. So, on a traditional world map, the top left is North America, bottom left is South America, whatever. Or you might want to let the students choose, whatever works best for your group. Once they're seated and once they know what region they're representing, then it's time to hand out the dice and the cards. And then there's going to be a whole new level of what do you notice as they start looking at the cards and the dice that they get. So I'd give them two things to say as you're handing these out. I would first say that every group is getting the same 4 action cards. They're the same for everybody. No need to run around and see what your friend got. And then the dice, on the other hand, North America, and you can make a big deal of this too, show North America, you are getting an 18-sided dice, and whoa, that's so exciting. And Europe, you're getting a 12-sided dice. And now onto the global south, South America, Africa, India, y'all are getting these 4-sided dice. And they're going to catch on pretty quick what that represents. And I always tell them this game is meant to be realistic. It's not meant to be fair.